So hello, this is me Joren, and my report is about the architectural components of data warehousing. So let's do it. So first, architecture. What is architecture? Well, the architecture is the structure that brings all components of a data warehouse together. Architecture is, in its physical form and most basic sense, the design of a structure. More so in its abstract nature, architecture invisibly dictates the flow of an element, such as data, to complete a task in the most sustainable and efficient manner. So next is the characteristics. So what characteristics does the architectural component needs? So one is the different objectives and scope. The architectural the architecture has to support the requirements for providing strategic information. Strategic information is markedly different from information obtained from operational systems. When you provide information from an operational application, the information content and quantity per session is limited. Next is the data content. In your in your data warehouse, you keep data integrated from multiple sources. After extracting the data, which by itself is an elaborate process, you transform the data, cleanse it, and integrate it in the staging area. Only then you can move the integrated data into the warehouse repository as read-only data. Operational data is not read-only data, so they are different. So the next is the complex analysis and quick response. So your data architecture must support complex analysis of the strategic information by the users. Information retrieval processes in an operational system dwindle in complexity when compared to the use of information from a data warehouse. Most of the online information retrieval during a session by a user is interactive analysis. A user does not run an isolated query, go away from the data warehouse, and come back much later for the next single query. A session by the user is continuous and lasts a long time because the user usually starts with a query at a high level, reviews the result set, initiate the query looking at the data in a slightly different way, and so on. Next characteristics is being flexible and dynamic. So you have to make sure your data warehouse architecture is flexible enough to accommodate additional requirements and when they surface. If the data warehouse architecture is designed to be flexible and dynamic, then your data warehouse can cater to the supplemental requirements as and when they arise. So this is basically future proofing your data warehouse architecture. Next is metadata driven. So as data moves from the source systems to the end users as useful, strategic information, metadata surrounds the entire movement. The metadata component of the architecture holds data about every piece of the movement and in true sense makes the movement happen. So that's all the characteristics. So we will move on to the architectural components. So we can see a diagram here in three major areas. So as you can see, these the components are divided into three. There is data acquisition, data storage, and information delivery. So let's go to the first part. This is the data acquisition. So the data acquisition area covers the entire process of extracting data from the data sources, moving all the extracted data to the staging area, and preparing the data for loading into the data warehouse repository. The two major architectural components identified earlier as part of this area are source data and data staging. So as you can see in this diagram, we can see the source data starting at the top, then it will be extracted, and will go to the next stage. This is basically called data staging. The next is data storage. So the second part of the big picture, This area covers the process of loading the data from the staging area into the data warehouse repository. All functions for transforming and integrating the data are completed in the data staging area. The prepared data in the data warehouse is like the finished product that is already to be stuck in an industrial warehouse. So as we can see in the diagram, this is where it happens. The data that comes out of this area must already be usable and integrated into the system. So as we can see, there is some process: the pull refresh, the incremental load, the backup recovery, the security, and data archival. So let's go to the next. The final stage or area is the information delivery. The information delivery component makes it easy for the users to access the information either directly from the enterprise-wide data warehouse, from the dependent data marts, or from the set of combined data marts. So as we can see in the diagram, the data that we got from the start that gone through the data storage is already good. So you just need to deliver the data from the systems that need it. So, and that concludes my report. Thank you. This is me again, Joren, and I'm gonna give a condensed version of my report. So basically, my report is about the architectural components in three major areas. So the three is data acquisition, the data storage, and the information delivery. So what is the architecture here? Well, the architecture here is about how the data moves. So the data is here, goes through here, data staging, and goes to the metadata. So that process is efficient, so they say. And in the data storage, the second one is all about data dressing itself to be usable. So the third is about delivering that data that is dressed and cured. So the data will go through here, the data mining, to the OLAP, to the report and query. So that's it. That's just something extra. Thank you.